now we're ready to start on a piece. Here in our shop, we begin and end every piece with a little bit, by weaving a little bit of warp as weft, that we're treating as weft. So this is the same yarn that we've used for warping. It is a 2-ply wool warp, and this is that same yarn. I'm going to load up my shuttle with a spool of my warp yarn. And I'm going to start this on the right side. Now, I'm actually a left-handed person, but I will teach this as if I was right-handed. And right-handed people will always find it easier if they start and finish things on the right side, always from the right side. If you work from the right side, you will be able to, or if you start and finish on the same side every time, consistently, you'll be able to count rounds instead of picks. Everything gets easier. The math is easier. And so counting is a big part of the job that we're doing when we're weaving, so that's important. Now, what I'm going to do is to lock the end of the yarn in on the open shed. The open shed is the shed where the last piece of yarn that I've done is able to move, to pull out. So I'm going to go to that open shed. I'm going to lock the end in under 3. It's really not very important at this this very beginning and end stuff because it all gets tied in. This is going to hide behind a bunch of your fringe knots, basically. But I'm locking it in on the open shed and then changing sheds so that my shuttle is throwing over the selvage. The selvage is always doubled or tripled. In this case, I've made it a triple thread. Okay, so now the selvage is at the bottom of the shed. I'm throwing the selvage, the shuttle over the selvage. I'm going to use my thumb on the spool as a brake, and that allows me to control the amount of yarn that is feeding off of the spool. I'm sticking my finger in directly straight into the warp, and I'm paying attention to how that yarn is wrapping at around the selvage. I want to make it so that it is wrapping tightly around that selvage, but it isn't really moving it in. I don't want to pull in with it. I just want it to be wrapped tightly around it. Now I'm going to change sheds. I can get my finger out of the way, use that same hand to reach up and beat. I'm going to do the same thing. Now my selvage is at the bottom of the shed. I can throw the selvage, catch it over here, use my thumb as a brake. Now I'm looking at my left-hand selvage. I'm wrapping it tightly but not moving it. I've got enough weft yarn. I'm going to change my shed, beat, and I'm going to keep doing that. I'm watching that selvage. I'm changing the shed, beating. I always hold the shuttle in such a way that I can put my thumb on the spool as a brake. I'm using this finger here. I can always pay attention. I can tell by the way the yarn feels on the back of my finger, my index finger. I can tell even that feeling. I can feel how much tension there is across there. And I'm visually watching the selvage. So those things, the combination of the break, my finger straight in, and the yarn going across my finger, as well as the visual clues of I'm wrapping tightly but not pulling on that selvage thread. I'm doing that. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to weave like, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 inch or something of this. This is actually, you know, one of those small aesthetic judgments you're going to have to make. How much do you want? Any thickness of any of these things. So let's say I'm going to do 8. I can count what I have now. I have 6 threads I can see. So this is 7 and 8. And I'm ready to weave with my background color. Let me lock in the end first, and now I'm ready to weave my background color yarn.